Hi again, friends. This is Lisa. Thank you for being here again. And, we've been talking a lot about the witchcraft that was happening in the boarding school where I went. And in the last episode, I promised to bring a story about a girl, who was one of the people who was making a confession. But, anyways, let's start with what actually happened. So I was talking in the last episode about how prayers had intensified in the school. So now prayers had been increasing and we had started having situations of exposure, right? Where some girls had started making confessions of being the ones who, were causing these attacks in the night. So this will often happen after intense prayers and when someone sort of fell under the power of the anointing, right? So this was great, but the only issue is that it was causing so much confusion, right? Because we didn't know, was Kosh Kosh one person? Was it a group of girls who were in a cult? What was really happening? If we had a couple people confessing to be the ones that are causing the attacks and all the chaos in school, alienation, some getting suspended and all that stuff, who was really the person? Or was the devil just trying to create some kind of confusion in the school? Did we have a cult that was underground that we didn't know about? So, it was just like a big ball of confusion. And, we just didn't know how to take it from there other than just praying. So at this point, there was a girl. This girl she was in the 4th level. She used to be sick a lot. We had kids who, there's something called sickle cell anemia, where we had some kids who were sickle cell anemia patients. And so every now and then they'll get sick. This girl was sort of in that bucket, that category, because I just remember that ever since she was in our school, she was always sick. So one of the days where she was sick, she was really sick one day, and I think it was a Saturday. She normally goes home when she's sick, but this time around they had kept her. So she was in the dorm, and like I said, it was a Saturday. Mind you, we had those Bible club students who were spiritual and always ready to be called to pray whenever there was anything that needed spiritual help. So they were known by a lot of people. We knew them by name. So if we could find one, if we can find somebody, we find the other person. So this Saturday, we heard a lot of yelling and screaming coming from this dorm where this girl was. We did not know what was really happening. Usually we'll start with a scream, right? In most of my stories, you hear some screaming and chaos, then you kind of run towards where that, screaming and chaos is coming from. We had so many dorms, so it could be any dorm at this point. So it was coming from her dorm. We did not know what it could be, but it seemed like a very serious thing because we saw a lot of people running towards the dorm. They closed the door, and some of our prayer warriors were called. So we knew it was dead serious at this point. I mean, it was broad daylight too. It was maybe 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So we were just kind of lingering in the dormitory. I think we didn't really have an activity at that time. So we ran to the windows to see what was happening, if we could hear anything or see anything that was happening. And as usual, the dorm was closed. We were closed out and students had been sent out while the prayers were happening. I remember that the principal had been called, and I also remember that they were trying to contact the school bus driver so that he could bring the school bus to take her to the hospital. So we eventually found out that the girl had been sick, but it didn't really end there. She had attempted to kill herself. She had taken a bottle of bleach and drank a good chunk of it before they discovered that she was maybe having a seizure or something, it was reacting in her stomach. So as they were trying to summon the school nurse and all of that, the prayer warriors were praying. They were the girls who knew any kind of natural source of healing were trying to see how they could pump that bleach out of her body, out of her stomach, while they waited for medical help to arrive. And back in the day, to be honest, we didn't have any sort of really good medical help. When we say medical help, we're like, oh, somebody's going to carry them, put them in the bus and take them to the hospital. There was no, let's start giving them IVs or let's do CPR. Till this day, a lot of people don't know how to do CPR where I come from. Let's just put it out there. So anyway, she said the girl, as we're trying to help her, she kept crying that she wanted to die because, you know, she's tired of her body being used for spiritual attacks on other girls. Yep. Again, another confession, right? I mean, at this point, we're kind of tired of it. Like, are you really speaking the truth? Is this another one of those confessions that really ended nowhere? Is this really going to help us? So we're listening to her. They're listening to her as she's fighting to pretty much die. She was constantly saying that she is one of the people. This particular person said one of the girls that has been attacking the girls at night, even though she will be sleeping physically in her bed, her spirit will be used to attack girls. But she kind of insinuated that there were other girls. For the first time we heard that, you know, she was saying she's one of them, and so there were other girls. And at this point, we're starting to think, okay, we're taking her confession, but then maybe we're thinking about a group of girls who had been performing these attacks. I don't even know if performing is the right word. But anyway, each time she will speak, she seemed to be in more pain. It's almost like whoever was the controller or spiritual, whatever it was, did not really like the fact that she was confessing. So it seemed like every time she spoke, she was in more and more pain, and almost like they were trying to stop her from speaking. The nurse was there, and then they eventually rushed her to the hospital. This will be one of the girls who never came back to school. We never knew what happened to her. She never came back to school. Did she fall sick? Did she die? I mean, the fact that we did not have cell phones back then, we didn't have any real means of communication. Whenever somebody left and never came back, we were left with a lot of questions because we're like, okay, they're here to pack her stuff to take away. Her family came to pack her stuff and take away. What happened to her? We never did get the information that we needed. But was she really one of the girls who was attacking us? I personally was affected. I remember back then just that wandering mind. But anyway, she left, never came back, and we continued to struggle with our struggle. At this time, prayers, lots of prayers. But we noticed one thing. The attacks started to die down a little bit. It just started to kind of die down on their own. And I almost feel like other stories kind of took over. And then it no longer was a thing. It still was a thing, but we had bigger fish to fry. Let's put it that way. Like we had bigger fish to fry with other things that were happening in the school, which we'll eventually talk about. So, but that's how we ended up with that particular story. In the next episode, I would like to jump into another story, which was not Kosh related. It was involving witchcraft, but it wasn't Kosh related. It was a different kind of story. So let's keep that in our pockets till next time. Until next time, friends, please stay curious. And I hope you enjoyed this story. And talk soon. Thank you, friends. Talk soon. Bye.